Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Folge Stanley Parable. Guckt euch unbedingt die letzten Folgen an, um zu checken, was passiert ist. Lasst ihr noch unbedingt ein Like da, das würde mich sehr unterstützen. Weiter geht's. Wir sind bei dieser Tür stehen geblieben, hier mit dem New Content.
Oh, new content?
Genau.
What does that mean, new content?
New Content bedeutet das. Mehr Content. Mal sehen, was hier kommt. Vielleicht mehr Content. Wir fahren.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Okay,
As you
Stanley
may know,
Parable.
the Stanley Parable was a video game
C'est
released
cool.
in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful.
Okay,
I'm
mehr
very
Content,
excited to see the
nice.
thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Ultra Deluxe, das Beste vom Besten.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Was geht's? Hallo?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or
Oh,
there we
jetzt
go.
bewegt sich.
All right,
Gut.
finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Huh.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if
Oh, es kommt was.
Okay, let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Jump Circle.
All right. All right.
Wir
let's
können
see
richtig springen.
it's The jump circle?
Ich werde hier aber nicht alle verbrauchen. Ich mache bis zu 20. Gut. Weiter geht's. Weil sonst haben wir keine Sprünge mehr.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content.
No.
There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more.
Oh, es kommt doch
Very
noch mehr.
good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see
Huh?
it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This
Das
is
ist
what
Ende.
happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally
Ist einfach ein normaler
It's
Entwickler.
my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations.
Ja,
If you're
stimmt.
still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Ich habe gar keine Wahl. Ich wollte sagen, irgendwie so, okay. Ein Bild vom Office.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent.
Nö.
I want to show you something.
Ich möchte mein Büro.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Ein neuer Input. Das ist gut. Vielleicht kommt ja mehr New Content. Oder auch nicht.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Kann ich nicht hier so erneut beginnen? Ja genau, hier möchte ich wieder hin. Jetzt gehen wir mal in den Vent.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ja, was denn? Hier geht's runter. Achso, ist leer. Gut. Was? Neuer Content vielleicht? Okay.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the
Memory Zone.
It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release?
Don't forget.
Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Okay. Stanley Parable. Warum hat der ein Auge und eins nicht? Good Times. Das Büro, die Türen. Ich habe das Originalspiel nicht gespielt, aber egal. Stanley Parable. Im Internet. Und nun? Begin the Demo. Smile because it's happiness. Ja, das Bild, da haben wir auch schon gesehen. Stanley Parable. Okay, weiter geht's. Hier geht's noch weiter. Ein weiteres kleines Häuschen.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley
Die Rezension, okay.
Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley?
Okay, sehr
Every
schön,
game
schön.
ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing.
Stimmt.
It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator
Oh,
content.
hier geht's noch. Was hier unten? Feuer. Ich kann hier nichts machen, schade. Aber schönes Detail. Das Game ist sehr detailreich, wirklich. Sieh hier, Stanley. Okay, hier ist Map Building. Oh, ein Knopf. Ich möchte ihn drücken. It's never the end, it's never the end, it's never the end.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect.
Okay, das sind echt krasse
It didn't
Bewertungen.
need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Hä? Achso, hier, die Tür hat sich geöffnet.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Tja. Jetzt kommen wir hier unten hin, okay.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Steam.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video
Darüber habe
game
ich auch
distributor.
gekauft.
I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining.
Stimmt.
Unfunny!
Ein Spaß.
I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious
Oh,
work
ist
of art.
umgekippt.
I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick.
Okay, das ist der ganze neue Content. Mehr Reviews.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather
Ich frage mich, ob es die
terse
wirklich
to
gibt,
begin
diese
with. You
Rezension.
can't know how much fluff I
Ich
cut
könnte
from
mir
the game
vorstellen,
to
ja.
feel as light and airy as it. Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on
Mann.
to. These
Können wir jetzt
black
weitergehen?
marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure, like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Tja. Oh, da ist offen. Gut, weiter geht's. Diese Memory Zone hier mit den Steam-Containern. Das geht immer weiter. Was haben wir hier?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's
Ja,
happening.
genau, das kenne ich
I
auch.
wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley
Oh, was passiert nun?
That's my motto today, and it's always been my
Ein-
motto. I do
kommt ein
anything for
Skip-Button?
the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Skip-Button.
And here it is. Oh, you're back, you see? You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such
Okay, wir kommen hier nicht
Not
voraus.
that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto.
Okay,
Look,
weiter.
I'll outline it for you very... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you?
Ja, hab
But
ich.
that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof. and it's
Ich hab's genau beim Puff gedrückt.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button.
Okay,
again.
mach ich nicht.
I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait.
Die Tür ist weg.
How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place?
Das ist eine
I don't
gute Frage.
think one can enter a room without a door of some sort or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere?
Mit
A
diesem
porthole?
Knopf kann man Zeit reisen.
Sufficiently large crack
Okay,
in
weiter
the
geht's.
wall. I'll take any of these. All I want is... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
Okay.
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room.
Ja, ist doof.
Stanley, the door is gone. It's complete. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
Oh mein Gott.
Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak.
Was nun?
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome.
Das Licht ist komplett weg.
I've had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've
Ach,
been
der Baum ist schon
through.
kaputt.
I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year?
Der Strom ist schon
Let me
weg.
describe it for you.
Ein
To begin
Jahr.
with, there is only regret. There is only the
Das ist ja 100 Jahre. Er ist weg. Weiter? Können wir nochmal? Ja, können wir nochmal. Er ist nämlich weg. Oh. Die Uhr. Oder ist das was anderes? Schnell weg hier, das nervt.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition.
Ja, genau.
But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us.
Das
It
wäre
wasn't
gut,
enough. They
Unterhaltung.
had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said.
Das stimmt.
First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of
Ja, ich würde sagen, wir
accountability.
skippen
It's
mal.
the unwillingness.
Das sind ja jetzt 1000 Jahre. Er ist weg. Er hat so lange gewartet. Er hätte jetzt nochmal die Anschlange gewartet. Weiter. Huh.
The end is never the end is never the
Nein,
end
er ist
is
wahnsinnig
never the
geworden.
end
Es
is
tropft.
never the end is 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 never the end.
Wir könnten jetzt mit ihm reden. Ist besser, als dass er verrückt wird. Weiter. Doch, es ist zu Ende. Die Uhr liegt ja immer noch. Oh mein Gott, es wird mehr Regen. Schnell weg hier. Wir könnten für 1 Milliarden Jahre ein. Oh mein Gott, die ganze Wand ist zerstört. Die Uhr ist aber noch heil. Sonst ist hier nur noch Schutt. Mehr machen als drücken können wir nicht. Oh. Ja, doof mit der Uhr. Ist ein Loch. Ich würde sagen, wir drücken nochmal. Es ist fahren. Ist vielleicht dieser eine fahren? Huh. Nee. Kein Fahren zu sehen. Leider. Oh. Dann ist er wieder direkt drauf gekommen. Jetzt nicht mal schön. Es müssen ja auch Milliarden Jahre vergangen sein. Oh, passiert nichts. Nur Geräusche aus den Rohren, die auch langsam zerstört werden. Hört sich gruselig an. Nein! Was ist nun? Der Knopf. Er ist kaputt, aber der Raum ist offen. Oh mein Gott. Die Memory Zone hat sich einfach, ist komplett weg. Hier war mal ein See. Jetzt ist alles weg. Der Sprecher, die Memory Zone. Oh Mann, hier kann man nicht drauf. Okay. Gruselig. Gehen wir mal zu den Bergen. Ich denke, ich wüsste nicht, was wir sonst tun sollen. Ist never the end. Ist never the end. Ist wirklich niemals das Ende. Ich frage mich, ob er sich noch irgendwann mal meldet. Wenn wir jetzt weiterlaufen, können wir nicht. Was nun? Hä? Ist einfach neu gestartet. Er war wohl doch weg. Der Moderator. Vielleicht finden wir einen weiteren Code.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Aber
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Ich
Perhaps
würde
he simply
sagen,
missed a memo.
das war ja mal wieder ein total weirdes Ende. Und ich hoffe, wir finden beim nächsten Mal noch ein bisschen Content. Ich sag tschüss, bis zur nächsten Folge. Ciao.